have laws that ensure equality of parties that appear before it, and each party has an opportunity to present the case that they have before an impartial arbiter who is the court. So therefore, to interfere in those processes before the court has made its determination is to undermine the rule of law and the authority of the court as an arbiter, as an independent arbiter, and goes against the Constitution. Of course, there have been an attempt, and we know this because we have dealt with these lawyers, to intimidate the lawyers who are handling these cases on behalf of the parties that are before the court. But as a Law Society, we wish to remind them that they took an oath to serve justice without fear or favor. And we ask them not to relent in seeking judicial intervention. We assure them that the Law Society will support them in the event that they are intimidated as they undertake their duties. And also, we are hopeful that the Kenyan people and right-thinking civil society organizations and everyone will join us in saying that in this country, no one will be above the law, including the president. So let me just comment something about the question of extrajudicial killings and the enforced disappearances. When the president got into office, the Law Society presented a petition to him asking him to form a commission of inquiry to investigate these cases and to be able to shed light into these cases of extrajudicial killings. You will remember that persons associated with the then Deputy President, now current President of the Republic of Kenya, were also abducted and they were killed. And when he got into office, they disbanded the special squads at the DCI. The former director of criminal investigations also left office. And so he started on a path to seek truth and justice on the question of extrajudicial killing and enforced disappearance. What we are concerned about is that he has done an absolute 360 turn. He is no longer keen to seek accountability, but on the other hand, he is more than willing and ready to use the same methods to achieve whatever aims that they have. And so it is that about turn that we are concerned about, because it starts with one person before it becomes a flood. And so therefore, we do not want to see a repeat of our rivers, our forests being polluted or being dotted with people who have been dealt with in an extrajudicial manner. And that is the reason why we are calling and making this passionate appeal to the president and to his government and to those who have been bestowed by state power of police to observe the law and exercise their powers within the four corners of the Constitution. I'll now invite my brother from Haki Africa to respond to some of the questions.
You know, we can get confused.
Okay, you start.
No, you go ahead. Now call me Hussein Halid. Thank you very much. Just to make it clear, we are here to safeguard the gains that have been made, have been achieved over the last couple of months, and to remind the President where he as an individual is coming from and where his government committed to take this country to. As the chairman of the Law Society of Kenya rightfully put it, in the beginning, we saw positive changes. Actually, as human rights organizations, we recorded the least number of extrajudicial killings and forced disappearances, immediately after the SSU were disbanded, and the government came out clearly saying that it will not allow such means to be used when dealing with security in this country. However, in the last few months, we have seen a complete turnaround to the extent that the state itself refuses to acknowledge people who are killed by police officers in this country. The state refuses to acknowledge videos on social media and other platforms of officers ejecting Kenyans from their homes, beating them up in broad daylight, and yet that same government refuses to acknowledge that these kinds of atrocities are happening in this country under their watch. And that's why we are very concerned standing here today. In less than 1 year, we have seen a complete turnaround, 360 degrees, as the chairman has said. And as human rights organizations, as the Law Society of Kenya, we owe it to Kenyans to stand firm. And we owe it to the state to remind them that they have a duty to safeguard lives in this country. And we cannot allow such things to happen. Specifically on the issue of River Yala, yes, the numbers have declined. We are not seeing 10, 20 bodies being retrieved from the river, but it is not completely off. Just 2-3 months ago, a body was retrieved from River Yala. This is to show that we are not yet out of the woods. And the government needs to continue on that security reform avenue so that we can take Kenya forward in terms of human rights and civil liberties. Thank you very much.
The President's remarks to persons to flee or be deported or be detained, if they were spoken by any citizen, would be unlawful. That they are spoken by the head of a state in charge and a commander-in-chief makes it even more worrying. His remarks come a day or two before the International Day of the Disappeared. This is an internationally recognized day by the United Nations that says that no human being must be denied their right to a fair trial, that no human being can be disappeared and intimidated or even worse, killed. His statements come a few days before one of the biggest climate investment conferences this country has seen in living memory. And one of the most important things about climate confidence, and I'm talking about environmental climate confidence, is that the investments that are made by private sector interests, that they will be protected and that there is a rule of law and that everybody has their opportunity to go to a court in the case of a dispute or in need of arbitration. So there are major implications from this statement, particularly at this time. But I think the other thing we wanted to point out is the criminal justice system is like personal hygiene. It starts like a boil. It begins to swell. It begins to become cancerous. And the question that the demand that we have to make today is, Mr. President, lance this boil before you too get consumed by the lawlessness that you saw in your predecessor and in the previous administration. Thank you.
Just President's statements that are happening just one or 2 days after the abduction of Singh Rai. What do you make of that abduction? It was in broad daylight and near side statement. What is your comment on that abduction?
We are aware that the matter of the abduction of Mr. Rai was reported to the police, and that there might be investigations into that incident. But in terms of implication, and it is not just once that the president has spoken about it, immediately Mr. Rai was abducted, the president is on record as having made statements that he will stop at nothing to resolve this matter of Mumias Sugar. And yesterday, he buttressed those comments by issuing the very, very chilling threats that he did to those who have filed cases with regards to the ownership and control of Mumias Sugar. So by implication, it would be not far-fetched to say that the state had a hand in the abduction of Mr. Rai, because what the comments that have come out and the threats that have come out asking parties to withdraw those cases, even at the risk that they may be rejoined with their maker, to us is a pointer that the state had a hand, or probably had a hand in that abduction, because it is consistent with a pattern of threats and intimidation.
Naam, kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, leo hii tumeweza kukusanyika hapa tukiwa chama cha mawakili Kenya, Amnesty International, shirika la kutetea haki za binadamu la Kenya na Haki Afrika, na tumetamaushwa zaidi na matamshi ya rais wa nchi yetu hii ya Kenya, Mheshimiwa Daktari William Samoei Ruto, ambaye alionekana kuonya wale ambao wamefikisha kesi mahakamani kuhusu umiliki wa Mumias Sugar Company. Kwa matamshi yake ni kama kwamba alikuwa anawaambia wachague mambo matatu. La kwanza, wahame Kenya; ya pili, kwamba atawaweka korokoroni; na ya tatu, wasafiri waende mbinguni. Haya matamshi kama yanavyochukuliwa, huenda yanaashiria kwamba ni vitisho kwa wale wote ambao wanawakilisha kesi za Mumias Sugar Company. Na haya yote yanakuja wakati ambapo mwanabiashara Jaswant Singh Rai aliweza kuchukuliwa na kurudishwa siku chache baadaye. Katiba ya Kenya inamhakikishia kila mwananchi haki ya kutumia mahakama, na yale matamshi ambayo yametamkwa na rais ni kama kwamba yamechukua katiba na kuisitisha kutotumika katika nchi yetu hii. Na sisi tunasema kwamba hilo ni swala ambalo wazi kabisa linakiuka katiba yetu, na hatuwezi kukubali kama wananchi wa Kenya kurudishwa katika siku za kale ambapo ukiukaji wa haki za binadamu ulikuwa ukifanyika kiholela. Kama mashirika ya kutetea haki za binadamu, tunasema kwamba kila mtu aachwe aweze kutumia mahakama, kwa sababu ndio sheria inavyopendekeza wakati wowote kukiwa na utata kwa yale mambo ambayo yanafanyika katika jamii. Tunataka kuikumbusha serikali pamoja na rais kwamba kama mashirika vile vile tumekuwa katika mstari wa mbele kupigania kila aina ya watu ambapo haki zao zimekiukwa. Hizi zinahusisha pia vile vile wale wananchi wa India, Zulfikar Khan, Zaid Kidwai pamoja na dereva Nicodemus Mwania. Vile vile tumekuwa katika mstari wa mbele kupigania yule ambaye alinyakuliwa katika barabara za hapa Nairobi Mhabeshi 39-year-old Samson Tekle Michael. Na kama chama cha mawakili kuna wasiwasi mkubwa kwamba wao ndio walengwa wakuu, na katika siku zijazo kuna uwezekano wa tume ya ulipa ushuru kutumiwa ili kuweza kuwaingilia kazi yao na kuwazuia kutotekeleza majukumu yao kama chama cha mawakili. Kama mashirika tunamrai Rais Ruto aweze kuangalia kule alikotoka na ajue kwamba tukiendelea hivi basi nchi yetu hii na Wakenya kwa jumla ndio watakaoumia zaidi. Tunawarai vile vile mawakili na mashirika ya kutetea haki za binadamu waendelee kusimama wima na imara kulinda katiba, kulinda sheria na kulinda haki za binadamu. Tunasema kwamba Kenya lazima ichukue nafasi yake kama nchi ambayo inaheshimu sheria na ambayo inaongozwa kwa mujibu wa mikataba ambayo yameweza kukubaliwa katika ngazi za kimataifa.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you joining us and for giving us coverage for this event. Thank you so much.